Hey everyone,
Anyway,
welcome to the Hume podcast, Roles and Lols. For those of you who don't know Hume we're a recruitment training business based in Australia, and to date we have trained thousands of recruiters across Oz, New Zealand, and a bit of Europe.
this is going to be a 10-minute quick tips and tricks with hopefully some laughs along the way for agency recruiters.
Yeah, hopefully you enjoy, and if you ever have any topics you'd like us to cover in the poddy, please shout out. Otherwise, you'll see us every week on a Friday for 10-minute episodes. Hopefully you enjoy.
See ya.
Welcome back, team.
Welcome back.
Okay, this week we're talking about a topic that I love talking about.
Is this because you used to be a rec to rec? So this is
Yeah,
literally
used to do
processed
this
through
for a
and through.
living. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what we're talking about this week is how do you actually choose the right recruitment agency for you?
Hmm.
One thing I will start off with saying is that your success, whilst is a lot of it is in your hands from the input that you put in, you get out, but honestly, your environment means so much to your success. Like, if you're in a really shitty environment that isn't conducive to you and how you work and how you operate, it will drag you down. And by that, I mean, put me in an environment full of transactional recruiters, all averaging 250K a year. Over time, if I stay in that business, my average will drop because I'm around average people. And that classic, the saying of you're the average of the five people you're around, you have to be so fucking careful who you surround yourself with in every aspect of your life, like work, personal, but we'll talk about work for this one. So if you choose the wrong business and you're all of a sudden then surrounded by average, it will drag you down to that average. So it's so critical for your success to pick the right business because a lot of people go, don't really care what business I'm in, as long as they give me good comms, I'm great at what I do, so I'll go in. And I've seen these people, good high performers, going to average businesses, all of a sudden they're not billing as much. And I'm like, told you, your environment means a lot. And so it's so important to pick the right business or the right agency to join that you know with some degree of confidence that it will be a good match for you. Because if it isn't, it means a lot to your billings, to your success overall.
Yeah.
So, question, Lucy Goose. So,
Hit me.
guys, some of you may not know this, but a number of years ago, I was a rec to rec. I started my own rec to rec agency, so that's how I met Lucy.
Mm.
So I approached her, got her into a few interviews with a few of my clients, and then ultimately placed her in a business. But during that time, what do you think was the most critical to you when selecting a business? Because we had you out to three companies, I think.
Yeah, three agencies. Yeah.
And I only approached three. They all were desperate to meet with you. They all wanted to offer you. So honestly, I could have probably got you out to 10, 20 different companies, and the
Mhm.
majority of them would have offered you
Mm.
because you're a bloody gun. But what were your deciding things when you finally selected the one that you did go for?
I would say with this specific situation, and also I think when I was in London and went to a rec to rec, and I think I had 10 interviews in 3 days or 2 days, and was offered 9 roles. Didn't get the 10th one, which was a bit of a shame. But the same thing would run true, and it was how I would say engaging and I guess present the owners, managers were with me and how they introduced me to their team and really considered the environment factor, I think, like you said.
Mm,
And while we can talk about base salary, what the fee structure is, if it's monthly or quarterly, yes, okay, they are very important questions to take into
mm,
consideration, but they were not the deciding factor at all.
mm,
And I actually took role in both London and Australia where I could have been offered a lot more, but it would have been shit. And like you said, my
Mm,
billings would probably been worse.
yeah.
And I wouldn't have enjoyed the leadership. So
Mm,
yeah, the environment, not only the management and the ownership of the agency, but the people that are in the team and understanding and getting a vibe for the people that they do hire in the team,
mm,
I think is
yeah.
really important. So yeah, without a doubt, I would not be accepting a job without meeting with
Mm,
management and the team a
yeah.
couple of times at least.
Yeah. And I think so the bare basics, what do you pay, how do you pay, all of that obviously just like checkbox things that you should be asking so you
Yeah.
actually have a lay of the land. But
And that's
then
what we see in our courses as well, that people the exchange is I work, you pay me. Like
mm, yeah.
that's the
But
foundation,
then
but
it
that's
comes
not the
down to
reason.
everything else.
Yeah.
So I would work out what the culture of that organization is. And before that, I would personally, as an experienced consultant, and you may not be able to do this as a junior consultant, but certainly as an experienced consultant who takes their career seriously and has got a lot of value to add, you're in demand. What I would be looking for is from the agency, show me your performance over the last few years for your consultants. What are they averaging? What is the turnover rate for your consultants? Because if they hired 10 people and in the last 12 months and only one's still around, I would be then delving much deeper into the reasons why, because you cannot join a business that quickly hires and quickly fires, or hires quickly and then just cuts people loose because they don't have the funding to sustain people.
Yeah.
Those businesses are not great to work for. What I would be asking from a company like culture, when you ask people, what's the culture like? Everyone will be like, super cohesive, blah, 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 blah. But what are the things that are actually important to you? Is it camaraderie amongst the team? Is it the team members helping each other introduce each other to clients as an example? Because that would be important to me. If I'm joining a 10, 20 person business, I would be asking questions around talk to me about your client base and how much of your client base works across multiple sectors within your business.
Mm.
And how do you encourage cross-selling? Like, what's the cross-selling sort of motivation internally? How do you encourage that? Because otherwise, you might just find you've got people just doing their own thing, in which case you'll be running your own
Yeah.
very solo desk.
Even things as trivial as like having music in the office, everyone would stand up, everyone was bouncing off and sharing, candidates and clients. There was this really kind of like team cohesive environment. How we would hang out, would everyone have lunch together? Would we hang out? Would we socialize? Like all of
Mm,
those things for me, I was like, I thrive when I'm around people that I enjoy. Your work for me, I'm
mm,
like, I'm not hanging out with people that I like
yeah.
don't enjoy being around, that I do not have any kind of similarity with.
Mm,
And when I'm in a room full of people that we're on the same page and we're buzzing and
mm,
we're killing it, my billings
mm,
are great.
yeah.
But like you said, put me in a room where it's crickets and no one
Happy
talks and no
people
one
bill.
shares. Yeah.
Honestly, happy
And
people
people
bill.
bill. Yeah. I would not. Not.
With a few other key things I would be delving into, team, is expectations. What is the genuine expectation? And this is sometimes a confronting conversation to have, but one that
Mm.
you absolutely should be having. So, as an example, me going in, if I was a senior consultant, like recruiting senior marketing roles, I'd be going into a business. If I was considering a role with that recruitment agency, I'd go, okay, look, these are my capabilities. This is what I've honestly done previously. This is how I've approached the market. What am I going to be walking into on day one? Talk me
Mhm.
through your database. How are you going to introduce me to clients? And if there's no clients, that's totally fine. I just need to know the lay of the land so it's very clear what I'm going to be expected to do because I want to make sure if you guys hire me, I'm going to perform. And I want to make sure we both are just very, very aware of what the lay of the land is because I don't want any surprises. So talk me through what you're already doing across the senior marketing space. How many clients do you work with that have got senior marketers that I can potentially get an intro to? Is someone going to make an intro or is it a cold intro for me reaching out? What do you expect for me to do within the first month, billings wise? Are you expecting me to come in and bill 30K in month one and stay quiet? Like, just be
Hmm.
completely straight up. Because if someone goes to you, well, actually, yeah, for someone at your level, we'd be expecting at least 30K in the first 4 weeks. So at least you know exactly what they're expecting and there's no surprises. And so you can go in and go, well, you either can make it or you're confident to make that or you're not. And if you're not confident to make it, you know what? It's not the right business for you because that's too
Hmm.
much pressure. I would also be doing that from an expectation outside of just billings. What's your expectation of me as a senior consultant? Is it unofficially being a support to junior consultants in the business? Are you expecting me to intro your business to my current existing clients? What does successful look like to you? What will you be super happy with if I bill in the first 3 months? Because if someone goes, we'll be super happy if you bill 200K in Q1, I'd be like, that's not going to happen, sorry. But your expectations are wildly off because it's going to take me a while to rebuild my desk.
Mm.
Or, yeah, so it's just honest, it's just having an honest conversation. That
Yeah.
that will never see you wrong.
Mm.
Otherwise, you go in and both parties are not actually super clear. They haven't had that conversation as to expectations, and then it all falls over. That's what we typically see. The conversation hasn't been had.
I've got a question for you, but it might be a bit loaded. And so maybe hopefully we have time, but it'll be interesting to see how you answer. Because I think it's different, right? For depending on if you're going into a new role, if you're going as
Mm,
it's your first recruitment job, if you're a senior consultant and you're going to a competitor,
mm,
if you're an experienced consultant and you're starting into a new industry or a new
mm,
desk, very different, or into a leadership role. Like there's
mm,
so I think if you were, there's four scenarios there, what would be your kind of top tip for each
mm.
of those people? New
Oh,
recruiter,
okay.
going to a competitor, a
Okay.
new desk, or
Brand
a
new
leadership.
recruiter, yeah. Brand new recruiter, I would want to know everything in terms of how they have onboarded people previously and
Mm-hmm.
what success have they had and how. Have they, like, talk me through your training program? Who do you utilize? Is it all internal? What does that structure look like? Or is it just throw you in and hopefully you make money? Because if the answer is the latter, your success rate of actually being in recruitment is so low. So don't go down that
Yeah.
route. So I'd
Mm.
be talking about heavily across L&D, and much like with any sort of meeting with a client or a candidate, we want to ask open questions. And we want to get examples because examples show you proof of behavior and it then showcases how someone is going to behave in the future. So you asking the employer, like, can you talk me through, rather than asking a closed question, i.e., do you provide training to rookies? I would not be asking that question. I'd be asking it an open way. Can you just talk me through the last new recruiter that you've hired and how you onboarded them and where they're sort of at now? That will
Mm.
elicit a much more detailed answer and you can press it a little bit further. So that would be for the rookie. Someone going to a competitor, I would be focusing on expectations. Because honestly, if you're joining a competitor, a lot of agencies will assume you'll come in and bill straight away,
Mm-hmm.
but you will have restrictions. It's going to take you a bit of time. So if that agency is not willing to wait for the billings to be up to where you're currently at, it's probably not going to work. And they're expecting you to come in and bill exactly what you're billing right now and drag clients across. If that doesn't sit well with you ethically, it's not the right vibe. So have that conversation. Are you expecting me to bring my whole client list? Because if you're someone who goes, oh, I'm not going to feel comfortable speaking to my existing clients because I've got a 6 month non-compete, then have that conversation. What are you expecting from me?
I think as well as a point on that, you going to a competitor, you need to have expectations on yourself that you're not going to be bullying 250K
Yeah,
a quarter straight away because you are now. So if
yeah,
you go into an interview to a competitor being like, this is how much I bill,
yeah,
I'm top biller, pay me this much, da da da, and you don't because
yes,
you won't,
yeah,
you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And
Mm.
leaders, I would say, what is your actual responsibility and decision-making capability? Because if you're going in as a leader by name only, but ultimately the owner comes in over the top of you and changes direction and just makes decisions themselves, you're
Mm.
going to not actually enjoy that leadership role because you won't actually have say in how you run your team. So I'd be asking questions around responsibilities. Have they got a clearly defined org structure in terms of who does what and who is responsible for what? And a good way to ask that, if you're meeting an owner, that talk me through your leadership team meetings. What do they consist of? How
Mm.
often do you have them? What's the content of those meetings? Do you come up with the content, or are the leaders know and aware of exactly what's expected? That will show you a lot about how a business is structured and how you're actually going to be able to make an impact as a leader. Because if the owner can't answer that, and just goes, yeah, we catch up really frequently. I can tell you they catch up sporadically. Things are not organized. It will be hard to actually make an impact in that business because there's a lack of structure. So those types of questions around leadership for me would be critical. And then again,
Mm.
expectations. Are you expecting me to be the highest performing person in the team? Because if that's the case, you won't have a lot of time to actually lead.
Hmm.
So again, expectations, I think. But there's so much stuff. I think it all
Yeah.
boils down to having an open conversation and being realistic on both sides. Because
Yeah,
without
and
that, you get people that don't really know what they're walking into, and it rarely works.
yeah, and I think there's that whole kind of idea of, while you're being interviewed for this role and you're trying to put yourself forward for roles and ultimately get an offer or offers on the table, it's also important for you to be asking appropriate questions to the agency to get an understanding of what the reality is of
Mm,
working there.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
a lot of agencies that exist that have very nice brands, but the reality
Mm,
behind the scene,
yeah.
not so, and the opposite.
And
So,
honestly, and do some digging. I spoke to a GM who I know that called me last week. He's in his final stages of this offer, and he's like, "Ez, what do you think about this business?" And I'm like, "Look, I personally wouldn't go there, but me telling you my experiences with that business won't really mean that much because I've sort of engaged with them as a potential." Provided to them, but I know people that have worked in that business for years who will give you an honest account of what they like. I can reach out to my contacts and pop you in touch. And he was like, I would love that. And he spoke with my contact. And afterwards, he gave me a call. He's like, thank you so much. He's like, that was honestly so valuable. I've dodged a bullet. He's like, I asked that person a number of questions, and that person sort of confirmed my worst fears. And he's like, I'm pulling out of the process. And I'm like, he helped save, and he's not someone who moves around a lot, so he's saved his career, I would say, because he could have made
mm,
this really shit move and it then knocks his career for a few years. So I would dig around, speak to people that you know in industry and ask, what are your thoughts? Because as salespeople, like we all are, recruitment agency owners are salespeople. We're salespeople as recruiters. Everyone can sell their agency really well. Sometimes you just, if it's not sitting right with you and you go, oh, I'm not sure, or if that sounds too good to be true, ask around.
hmm
Do
people
such as on
thought,
LinkedIn, who's worked there previously, reach out to them, lean on
mm,
people that you know, like ask around and get a true account of what it's like.
yeah, 100% agree. Best tip I would say, ask
Mm,
previous employees.
mm,
Yeah.
absolutely. Alrighty, team. If
Right.
you have any questions, if you are going for interviews and just want to get our thoughts, we're so happy to give them to you. But yeah, good luck. Avoid making bad career moves.
See you later.